Now, one thing that can be confusing when you're getting started with Angular is the amount of Angular versions you find out there. Now, in this lecture, we'll have a look at the different versions, how they are connected, and if that means that Angular changes all the time. Spoiler, it does not. So we had Angular 1. It was released a couple of years ago, and Angular 1 was a big new thing back then. Now, this course is not about Angular 1 though, because whilst it was the big new thing, it also had some issues that could lead to worse performance and bigger applications and so on. This version of Angular, Angular 1, is nowadays referred to as AngularJS, written like this. So if you see people write AngularJS in some internet forum, on Reddit, or anything like that, they are most likely referring to Angular 1, which is totally different to the Angular version you're learning about in this course, because there was a complete rewrite of the Angular framework between Angular 1 and Angular 2. Angular 2 was released in 2016, and it was rewritten from the ground up. It works totally different than Angular 1 to fix all the issues Angular 1 had. Now, since then, since that initial release of Angular 2, we had a couple of other versions of Angular. We had Angular 4, Angular 3 was skipped for internal reasons, so that version number was skipped. We had Angular 5, 6, 7, and now we have Angular 9. Why do we have all these Angular version numbers? Does it mean that Angular was reinvented 8 times since Angular 1? No. This is not the case. Instead, since the release of Angular 2, the Angular team simply adheres to a versioning scheme where a new version of Angular is released every 6 months. Now, that new version, however, is not a complete rewrite. It does not change everything. Indeed, most updates change almost nothing, only some behind-the-scenes stuff, or add some new features without breaking existing features. Indeed, Angular 9 is pretty much the same as Angular 2. I initially created this course for Angular 2, and I updated it multiple times, and it is totally up to date, therefore. But when we have a look at the core syntax, at the philosophy and so on, nothing changed since Angular 2. Indeed, if you learned Angular 2 in 2016 and you then slept for 3 years, you can still use the exact same syntax. Some minor things changed, and I updated the course over the time to reflect that, but overall it's the same framework. We have small, incremental, backwards compatible changes between these versions. It's simply just a commitment which the Angular team made to release such a major new version every 6 months. It does not break or change everything every time it's released. And therefore we have AngularJS, this version 1 thing, which is totally different. And then what we just refer to as just Angular. Angular 2, 4, 5, 6, and so on. This is all just Angular. You shouldn't really use the version because in 6 months it will be outdated anyways. Instead, it's just Angular. And this course is just about Angular because, as I said, Angular 9 is basically the same as Angular 2. And Angular 10 will be the same as well. We just will see small improvements over time. That's the idea behind these versions.